Hi, fourth grade friends. Today we are going to be reading from this Nature Unleashed book. It's called The Untamed World of Missouri Ponds, Forests, and Prairies. And so this book was specifically made for fourth graders that live in Missouri because it talks about the ecosystems that are found here where we live. So there might be lots of different habitats, but these ecosystems of ponds, forests, and prairies are very specific to Missouri, and you can find lots of different ponds, forests, and prairies as you travel along our state. So you can read any part of this magazine that you'd like. The link is on our Canvas page. But today we're going to hop to page 14 because we're going to read this chapter 3 called Having What It Takes to Survive. So when you read a magazine like this, not only are you going to read the big paragraphs, but I also want you to take a look at the text features. So like this title here, Having What It Takes to Survive, that's really important to read. You can't skip over it. And you're going to also find that there's tons of information in the picture. So looking at this frog and its life cycle, going from eggs all the way to this leopard frog. That's really important to look at when you're reading nonfiction. And then there will be these little boxes that you'll get a lot of information from too. So you're going to see that as I read this right now, I'm going to read all of those things. Okay, having what it takes to survive. The right tools are always needed to get a job done well. In the case of plants and animals, the job is survival. Their tools for survival are different specialized structures. Plants are animal parts that help an organism survive in its specific environment. In this chapter, you will learn how specialized structures allow plants and animals to survive in pond, forest, and prairie ecosystems, and how internal and external cues cause organisms to behave in certain ways. Fish and tadpoles have gills, specialized structures that allow them to get oxygen from the water. Fish use gills their entire life, but tadpoles slowly lose their fish-like body, tail, and gills as they develop lungs to breathe oxygen from the air. After they develop large, powerful legs and webbed feet, frogs can swim quickly in water and leap to safety on land. So eggs, tadpole, froglet, and then the leopard frog. And you can kind of see his powerful legs in this part of the picture, but then the webbed feet in this part of the picture. Okay, down here we are going to learn about a common snapping turtle. It has great big jaws that help it snap up organisms as large as fish and snakes. Cattails, which is this plant right here, use air and mud to reproduce. When their fluffy seeds are blown away and land in mud, new plants can grow. And then we can learn about this largemouth bass. In fish, lateral lines along their sides are sense organs that detect movement and vibration in the water. Dragonflies, which there, look, the dragonfly has a cycle too. Starts with eggs, nymph, emerging adult, and then the dragonfly. Dragonflies begin their lives in the water as nymphs with gill-like structures on their abdomen. When a dragonfly nymph is ready to change into an airborne adult, it climbs out of the water on the stem of a water plant, sheds its outer skin, and uses its new special mouth parts and wings to eat while hovering and flying. Survival tools in a pond ecosystem. So this is specific to a pond. Plants and animals that spend all or part of their life in water must have specialized structures to survive in a watery environment. Long toes allow great blue herons to move easily through ponds without sinking into the soft mud. Their long, slender necks and long, sharp beaks help them snatch fish and frogs from underwater. Pond plants have specialized structures that help them survive in their underwater surroundings or environment. Waxy or slimy coatings protect them from drying out when water levels drop. Special openings on stems or leaves let them absorb minerals directly from the water. Roots hold arrowheads and cattails in place, while the above water leaves of these plants bring air down to the roots. Tiny duckweed plants with their thread-like roots survive by floating on the surface of the water. So if you were wondering what the great blue heron looks like, it's this bird right here. It has this big body and these tall legs. So that's kind of cool. And then you can kind of see how it snatches up this bluegill. And it even gives you like, ooh, the bluegill can breathe here with their gills. So looking at all these pictures are super important. Camouflage is one of the best survival tools an animal can have. Whether an animal is hunting or hiding, survival often depends on blending in and not being seen. Bluegill have light vertical stripes that help them blend in when they hide among pond plants. Dark coloration on the top of channel catfish camouflages them and helps them blend into the mud at the bottom of a pond. And then a little bit more about this bullfrog. Frogs use their large, bulging eyes to eat. Frogs usually take in their food whole and use their eyeballs to squash down and swallow their meals. I didn't know that. They use their eyes to eat. Okay, so now we're going to move on to thinking about the forest ecosystem. So it says survival tools in a forest ecosystem. Trees have specialized structures to help them survive on land. Roots spread out almost twice as far as a tree is tall. Roots grow as they search for air, water, and minerals in the soil. Tap roots grow deep down through the soil seeking water. Trunks support the branches and carry water and nutrients to and from the leaves. Bark wraps around and protects the tree from injury and insects. Branches and leaves make up the tree's crown. Leaves use energy from the sun to produce food for the tree. Seeds from trees and other forest plants also have specialized structures. Wing-like parts, fluffy coverings, and sticky surfaces are specialized seed structures. These specialized structures help seeds travel to places where they can find a new place to grow. So here's an example of a wing-like structure. It allows seeds to whirl and spin through the air. The spinning movement helps the plant the seed into the ground. Here's an example of a fluffy structure. Seeds with soft, fluffy coverings float through the air. And here's an example of a sticky structure. Seeds with prickly, sticky surfaces can hitch rides on the fur of animals and even on a person's clothing. Okay. Forest animals have their own set of survival tools. Their specialized structures help them see, hear, and smell the plant and animals around them. To move silently and to blend into their surroundings, bobcats, for example, use their soft foot pads, dappled colored fur, and keen vision and smell to sneak up on rabbits. Rabbits, mice, voles, and squirrels also have a keen hearing, which they use to detect and escape from bobcats, owls, and other animals that hunt them. Special sharp teeth help squirrels and deer crunch through tough acorns. Birds crack tough seed shells with sharp, specialized shaped beaks. A four-chambered stomach allows deer to digest grasses. Glands are another type of specialized structure. Some snakes have glands that produce venom used for protection and to make their food hold still. To make their food hold still. Low-mouthed caterpillars are bright green and have a red and white stripe along the sides of their bodies and many spines that are painful to touch. Whiskers on mammals and antennae on insects are also examples of specialized structures used by organisms to gather information about their environment. So here's a good example. An owl's huge eyes gather enough light to give them excellent night vision. What may look like ears on some owls are actually tufts of feathers. Ear openings are hidden under feathers and located to the sides of and just behind their eyes. Sharp talons allow owls to grasp unsuspecting mice. Soft, ruffled, and dark-colored feathers allow owls to swoop down silently on their prey in the dark of the night. Animals are torn apart with an owl's talons and sharp beak or swallowed whole. Bones, feathers, and fur that are too hard to digest are coughed up hours later in a firm, round pellet. Owl pellets reveal clues and solve mysteries about what an owl has captured and eaten. Flying squirrels are gliders rather than flyers. To move from tree to tree, a flying squirrel leaps and stretches its loose folds of skin out to the sides. The skin acts like a flat parachute. Okay, and then finally, survival tools in a prairie ecosystem. Specialized eyes, ears, feet, teeth, beaks, and whiskers are survival tools for prairie animals. Badgers use large claws for digging burrows and defending themselves. Coyotes depend on their keen sense of smell, hearing, and sight to catch mice running through the tall grass. Prairie voles and plain pocket gophers have strong front paws for tunneling underground to safety and to find roots and leaves to eat. Badgers are built for digging. Their heavy body, powerful muscles, strong front feet, and long claws make them one of the fastest diggers on the prairie. A badger might even use its mouth to help it dig. Badgers loosen the soft soil with their front feet, pass it under their belly, and kick it out on the hole with their hind feet. Loose soil is sometimes thrown 4 to 5 feet in the air. Badgers dig at a faster rate than a man can dig with a shovel. Being a fast digger means being able to catch fast digging animals for food and being able to dig fast enough to escape enemies. Badgers do not actually hibernate, but they do spend a lot of time sleeping in their burrows in the winter. When they wake up, they dig around for animals that are hibernating, dig those animals up, eat those animals, and then go back to sleep in their own burrows. There is rarely a pile of earth around the tunnel openings of a 13-lined ground squirrel because they carry the soil in their cheek pouches and scatter it away from burrows. As ants dig tunnels for their nests, they move and mix the soil. This loosens the soil, allows the prairie plants to grow. Why dig when you can borrow a burrow? Northern crawfish frogs are very secretive and spend most of their time hidden in crawfish burrows or burrows of other animals. Prairie plants have specialized structures that help them survive in their environment. Special root systems allow them to grow deep down into the soil to reach water and nutrients and to anchor plants against strong winds and to protect them during dry weather. Big blue stem and little blue stems are common prairie grasses that grow in bunches with roots as deep as 8 feet. Prairie blazing stars and compass plants have roots that can reach down as far as 15 feet. Stems of prairie roses and blackberries have sharp thorns to discourage animals from eating them. Other prairie plants have specialized structures that invite organisms to feed from them. Bright red royal catchy-fly flowers have long tube-like shapes. The special color and shape of these flowers attract hummingbirds. While hummingbirds use their special long tongues and beaks to sip nectar down within the flowers, they also gather and pass pollen from one royal catchfly to another. In vast open prairies, camouflage is a very important survival tool. Most prairie animals have colors and patterns on their bodies and help them blend into the prairie grasses and flowers. Thorns are specialized structures that protect plants like blackberry bushes from hungry animals. Thorns are actually branches or stems that are shaped with hard, sharp, pointed ends. And here's the coyote. Hummingbirds are the only birds that can fly backwards, and they can hover in mid-air by rapidly beating their wings 53 times per second. Being bright pink might not seem like a good camouflage color unless you live among the brightly colored flowers in the prairie. So that would be the round-winged katydid. And then finally, a bull snake's color and markings keep it camouflaged so it can sneak up on its food and stay hidden from animals that want to eat it. Okay. Oh, behave. Survival of organisms in all three of these ecosystems also depends on how the organisms behave when they get cues or signs, either from their own bodies or from the world around them. Organisms respond to internal cues and external cues by changing their behavior in ways that will allow them to survive. Organisms respond to internal cues and external cues by changing their behavior in ways that will allow them to survive. Internal cues are the ones an organism receives from inside itself. Hunger is an internal cue, and it will cause an animal to stop whatever it's doing and start hunting for or foraging for food. Internal cues cause thirsty animals to search for new places for water. High heat and dryness caused by lack of rain are external cues. Trees and other plants respond to these external cues by sending their roots deeper into the ground to seek for water. Deep, specialized roots of prairie grasses hug the soil and hold water like a sponge. This helps the grasses and forbs survive even when there is little or no rain. Movement and sound are external cues that cause animals to take notice. For most animals, sudden movement or sound signals possible danger and prompts them to run, fly, or swim, or stay perfectly still. Weather, temperature, and amounts of daylight and darkness are some external cues that cause organisms to change behavior. Missouri pond, forest, and prairie organisms automatically change behavior in the fall when days are shorter and cooler. Snake, lizards, and certain frogs seek out dens or abandoned burrows to hibernate or sleep for winter. Some frogs and snails burrow into the mud at the bottom of the pond to survive the cold winter. Tree squirrels, mice, and beavers stay active through the winter. However, cooler temperatures and shorter days are external cues that drive them to eat more food to insulate their bodies with extra layers of fat. Fall's external cues are prompted when to gather and store large amounts of food to last through the winter time. Some birds find enough seeds and dried berries to survive Missouri winters. Others, such as ducks, geese, and hummingbirds, react to those external temperatures and daylight cues by migrating hundreds of miles south to spend winter in warm climates. Ducks and geese migrate in various V-shaped patterns and often nosy flax, hummingbirds migrate alone. Now I'll let you guys read the bottom of this solo because I'm almost out of time, but I hope you learned a lot about the different animals and their structures in the Missouri ecosystem.